And if you happen to know maybe the name of your pattern, I think that's helpful for everyone else that kind of sees one, thinks, oh, I like that. When I wonder what it is. If you give that information, I think it's helpful. So Carla, you're the first one up that's showing on my screen that I saw holding them up. So let's let you start with us. And I think you were working those on the car, I believe.
Yes, I was actually. Yeah. This is Jessica's yarn, just a stripe. I think it was an Easter one a year or so ago, maybe. And it's basically just vanilla sock. I did throw a couple of ridge rows kind of in the front, just kind of played around with it. So that's my shorties for this week.
What did you do for your heel?
The wrap.
Shadow wrap?
Yes.
Okay. And
yeah.
Was that the first time you'd done it, or have you been doing it?
I haven't done them very much. I've just started on them, and I really like it better than the kiss lips. It's easier, and it doesn't leave a hole in it. So yeah, I like it.
Good.
So.
Okay, somebody else want to put up theirs, and let's see yours.
I'm recording, Kay, the names so that we'll have you down.
Sherry, I see you holding yours up. Sherry Walker.
This pattern is called Summer Braids, and let me just put my hand in it here because it has a little slip stitch pattern. That was kind of fun, and it's Jessica's yarn. I did the cream and Don't Be Crazy Daisy.
And does that have a little bit of seed stitch in the center of those chevrons, or?
You know, there might have been seed stitch. It was basically all knits and pearls. Sometimes it was a whole knit row, sometimes a pearl, and sometimes both. I don't know if that's
cute.
But yeah, it was fun. And I took Earth Tone Girls her promise that you could put a shadow wrap heel in any pattern, and so I did, and it worked perfectly. So it was fun.
You know, that's really fun because I've seen some patterns before that I like the looks of the pattern, but I don't like the heel on them. And it's kind of like, okay, do I just cancel that idea of that pattern out? But no, you don't have to, because you can, most of the patterns you can put in fish lips kiss heel or the shadow wrap heel and not have a problem with the rest of the sock.
It knits up beautifully. Can you add to the length of it to make, I have kind of a longer heel. Can I do like just a couple knit rounds before I start the twin stitches? Or I didn't know if I could make it a little deeper.
You can't add there because you're only adding on one side, Sherry. But
so I couldn't like knit 2 rows, then do all of the shadow wrap and knit 2 rows and pick up the leg again.
Well, you might be able to. I don't know how it would work on your sides.
Okay.
Let's see.
I think it'd almost be better to take one more regular stitch off. Like if you had 64 stitches, instead of doing 32, I think you'd maybe be better to do 34 and leave 30 on the bottom and get those extra 2 stitches by adding one more from the other half. That makes sense?
Yeah, and it might be fine. I need to try it once on a full-size sock because these were even a little shorter than I usually like for shorty socks. So it might be fine once I just add to the leg. This was more of an in the tennis shoe type pattern. So do you know what I mean? It's got a really short leg after the knitting.
And Sherry, I would do the plain rounds. You know how we do a decrease plain, decrease plain, decrease plain. You could do another decrease and another plain in there to add. And, you know, instead of 4 times, go 5 times. So, and see if you could get that extra row there. The other thing I've heard people do is go down to 10 stitches, not 12. If you're doing 32, you would take it a little deep, a little smaller, and that just gives you a couple extra rows in your depth. And this is part of the new heel, is kind of figuring out how it's going to fit.
Thank you.
Very successful sock. Okay, who's next?
And
Okay, Anne is holding up her hand here.
Okay, mine is called Summer Sporty Sock. I don't know if you can see it. It has like a PK around the top. I don't know if you can see that or not. Where you do it and then you fold it over and then you knit those together. And then I did a gusset heel. And then the bottom of it is a twisted rib on the bottom.
oh,
And how do you
So
like
it
the
kinda
fit
gives a
with
little more
that?
cushion. And then the toe is even a twisted rib toe.
mm,
So that was different. It was different. I don't know if I do it again. It took longer. It seemed like it took forever to do the twisted rib on the bottom. So, but that was mine. And I did, it was Jessica's sock yarn. Stuff I had in my stash. So I don't remember what the name of it was. So, right, that's
Good.
mine.
Okay, who else has? Julie.
Just a vanilla sock. This is Jessica's Hail to the Highlighter and the new heel. And I really like the new heel because I don't have to use the knit or the stitch markers. So, yep.
Okay, hold them
Turned
up
out
good
good.
for us. We didn't get to see them hold them up so we can see them now.
oh, cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, just plain sock, but goes fast. Love it.
No sock is just a plain sock,
No.
right?
Right, right.
We all agree that if you knit a sock, no sock is a plain sock. All socks are welcome in the drawer.
Okay, who else has? Oh, Joanne.
These are mine.
Ooh, pretty.
I like those colors.
This is that Pete the Parakeet, and I did Block Party, so it has kind of like kind of some ribbing on the top. And I did do the shadow wrap heel, and I really liked it.
Great.
Pretty easy transition, isn't it, after you do the fish lips kiss?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, who else has a pair?
Okay.
Okay,
Cheryl Beck.
Cheryl Beck has. Okay, Cheryl, tell us about them.
Summer Lee's, just her shortest sock. And what was different is you have the two colors for the little cuff, and then you have the two colors for the toe. And I'd never done that. And so I enjoyed it. And I did fish lips kiss because I hadn't watched I wasn't with you guys last week. So I'm going to do the new heel for this week.
Good, good. I think you'll like it.
I think so too. I watched the video.
She does a really nice job in doing it kind of in real time without it being just sped up. It's a little easier sometimes to kind of, excuse me, see what she's doing and process it. And I like being able to stop her videos and kind of go back if you need to and just kind of just knit along with her. So it's great. I think you'll like it. Okay, who's next?
Stephanie got hers done, I know.
All right, Stephanie.
Okay. These are mine. So
They're
I did
cute.
the everyday, I think they're just called everyday sock. Yeah, everyday sock. So they had a heel tab that you do German short rows and then you fold it down and sew it together. And then there's slip stitches in the arch to make it tighter around your arch. And I did the shadow wrap heel for the first time and I really liked that. They fit great. So I'm going to use the same pattern this week.
Good.
Love it.
Wonderful. And you find a successful one that you really like and like how it fits. And I think some of the key to shorties is making sure they will not slide down in your shoe. And that little heel flap might be just the thing to kind of give a little bit extra fabric there to kind of hold them in place. We'll find out from you.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Okay, who's up next?
Nancy Schmidt.
Okay, Nancy.
Okay, I got mine done. I used my Mother's Day leftover yarn, and I just did like a vanilla sock.
Well, we can't see them. We can't
Oh.
hold, everybody's so fast. Like everybody just like
Sorry.
hold them up there so we can see. Now we can't see.
Okay.
you.
Oh, there, am I back?
You're
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
There's one of them.
There.
because I like your big stripe. I thought that big
Mhm.
color block was very cool.
Yeah, that was the one that I had the most leftover yarn.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. So there's the other one. So I had to come in and get a baby bee to finish off the toes because I didn't quite have enough. So yeah, it was just a vanilla sock and yeah, and I used the shadow wrap heel and I like it a lot. It went really fast.
Great.
It was easy to
And-
do.
And isn't it kind of surprising when you do a shorty sock, how you just barely get started and you do the heel and all of a sudden you're on the foot and the toe.
Yeah.
It just
it
goes,
was-
you know, when you're used to doing 5-6 inches of leg beforehand, and instead you're doing an inch, maybe 2 inches before you start, it really speeds up the process.
And I did one of the socks on the shorty needles with the 9-inch round circular, just to say, Kay, I can do it.
Good. You
And it
like
worked.
working with the 9-inch? Because
It
some
was
people really
okay.
like it and others, it really is cramping to their hands and they don't like it, so.
No, it's something you have to play with to get used to. I'll put
So-
it that way.
Of these socks, you did one, magic loop and one in the circular?
With the shorties. Yeah, the shorty circulars.
Question I
so-
have for you, did they come out pretty close to the same size or did you find you
Yes.
had different?
No, they
Nope, your
the same.
gauge stayed the same. Okay, because I've had some people say before they think their gauge changes a little bit from one method to the other method, so
No, these were the same. So
good. Okay, anybody else have? Connie?
No, not.
No, nope, I didn't sprint this last week.
Okay,
Linda.
okay, I saw your hand moving. I thought maybe you had one, so I'll show you
Linda
what I
Ferber.
did.
Linda
Oh,
Ferber
Linda.
had one.
Oh,
Linda
good. Where's
Ferber.
Linda? at? Linda. There.
Oh, cute.
It looks like you're getting ready for the 4th of July. Little patriotic look there. We aren't hearing you, Linda.
Mhm.
Okay, there we go. Little inspiration for Flag Day tomorrow, and
Perfect.
I used the Shadow Wrap heel. First time on dark yarn, probably not the best idea, but I got through it. And I did about an inch after my cuff to make sure that it came up on my ankle.
And did that feel pretty good when you got it done?
Yes, yes.
Good. Okay, anybody else?
Did mine.
There we go. Here's Angie. Look at those stripes.
And I just went right in. I did not change the heel at all. So I think it's kind of fun how it made a big thick stripe as well. And I was going to do that other pattern. And then I thought, well, I should really test our blueprint pattern to make sure. And so this is that blueprint pattern that we put online. So, just the basic core, and like Connie or like Linda said, she added a little more in here, and that's what you have to kind of figure out. What is your numbers for fit on on these, but boy, these were fun to knit in these stripes. Woo-hoo-hoo. And no, we don't have any more of this yarn. This is all, everybody asks that. This is always first of the month. It's gone in 24 hours. So if you like it, do not hesitate, because you'll want to grab Jessica's yarn. Kay, should we, before you do your show and tell, should we find out what questions you have about shadow wrap? Anybody run into some challenges? Anybody have feedback? Did everybody try it this week? Okay. All right.
If you've tried it and done at least one shadow wrap, would you get your hand up so we can kind of have an idea of how many of?
Okay. Great. Janie,
Yeah.
what did you think of it, given that you went from the other to this one? Nope, can't hear you yet.
Trying to, there, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is my fourth try. Oh, gosh. And I've made a pair before using the fish lips and had no problem. But man, and it wasn't the heel. I don't know what my problem was, but these turned out small. This one turned out large. I'm really having trouble with my gauge. I like the idea of doing an inch from the cup, because I've only got about 1/4 of an inch, and it slips off really easily. So I think that must be where I need to add it, huh? But I'm gonna go, I think it was Valerie in the shop suggested I try a 1.5 needle, because the 1 makes it too tight, the 2s make it too loose, and I think I'm gonna try a 1.5. So
That's part of the journey. And
it is.
we did get 1.5 32 inch in. So that had been on back order for a very long time. Many of you like to use the 32 inch for Magic Loop versus the 24. And we did get the 1.5, and we do have a 1 and a 0 in 32 inch. For those of you that might like to try that for a little longer pull on your needle. Other feedback on this heel or concerns that you had? Anybody? Okay, Linda.
This heel feels roomier than the fish lips, which I don't really understand why it would, but because there's less rows, but it does feel roomier.
I agree. I think it feels just a little bit bigger as well. But so it has to have something to do with that, maybe the stretch that's in there by having that triple stitch, that there's maybe a little more movement in that line.
I just cut 1/4 of an inch off my foot, Linda, to accommodate that. And that worked for me. Just, you know, I can't quite do what I do with the fish lips. I just cut a little bit off that foot, and that makes it fit perfect again. Other feedback or questions about this heel? I love it. I can do it in record time. You need not be scared about it. You need to follow her. Her tutorials are absolutely fabulous. I think, Sherry, I think it was you that made a comment in Ravelry about you felt like this heel was awesome. I think it's a life changer. We felt like fish lips was a life changer, but I think this one is I just sat and did it and didn't have to look at a thing, which is very nice, especially when you're traveling or you're out and about or anything like that. So
I think what made it easier for me is sometimes when I would have the twin stitches and when you were going back and forth and doing with the twin, sometimes the way the yarns would lay, it was harder to tell that I actually had a twin stitch, and I could end up getting off on it if I didn't use a marker. Where with this doing the triple stitches, I think they kind of pop out a little bit more, and I feel much more confident of where I'm at. And I find it easier too, if I'm kind of trying to count how many I've done on both sides, find it much easier with the working the triples to do that count, know where I am and how much I have left to do than I did with just the doubles with the twin. So that's what I've found.
And I think probably the best tip you can get for doing it is to make sure your needle gets in all 3 strands. That's the really important part. You know, just pause for one moment when you're inserting in either the purl stitch or the knit stitch, and make sure you really stick that needle in there so you don't have a little stitch running. And as long as you do that, you're going to be okay. You know, one of mine, I was off. I mean, I had 2 and I had 1. I didn't care. I just went ahead. And then when I came back around, I knit those 2 together. And you know, I couldn't even tell you, it's on one of these socks. I couldn't even tell you which sock that was. So don't kill yourself with perfection. You're not, you know, it's going to be okay. It's part of the
in your
process.
shoe.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, the
All
one
right.
I did, so you can kind of see coming up, this is the cornicette, and it's the one that will be if you do 2 sock sprint weeks, that you will get this pattern from Angie. And this is just a fun little pattern. They're all 4 stitch repeats. So you don't have long floats, you don't have to catch floats. And this thing, I felt like it goes fast because I think it's called anticipation. Because you always know the next one's coming up soon. It's like, oh, 2 of this one. It's like, oh, I can do a couple more because I want to see what the next one does. And because it's a repeating in that whole row, you don't have to be tied to a pattern. You get into just a pretty much a rhythm, you know, knit 3 in the main, 1 in the contrast, you know, that type of a mantra going on. And it's fun. I think you'll really like doing it. You can tell I used one pretty much solid, a little bit tonal in the purple. And then the green was one of the cucumber, I can't remember the full name of it. Cool as a Cucumber, something that Jessica did a year or so ago that has some little bit of darker spots and stuff in it, but it works fine. You can still do some differences with your stranded as long as you have one solid that has a lot of contrast, because that's the key, is you need quite a bit of contrast when you're working with stranded so you don't lose the design because it's too close and just kind of shadows each other. So go for contrast, and your contrast can be something that has some changing color in it, as long as you have a good, strong contrast. Okay, Angie, do we want to show the little clips that we did?
Yep. So we filmed in advance, Kay talking about the 9-inch circulars. So there's 3 little clips, about 3 minutes each. We'll play them and then we'll stop and answer questions for you. So we're going to go to screen share. And okay, hang on.
Using small circular needle.
We'll start again.
Today I'm going to talk to you about using small circular needles for your sock knitting. I'm going to go through some of the tools, and I'm just showing you really the things that I like to use, and everyone has their own style of knitting socks, and any style is okay. You just need to find what you're comfortable with. And so I'm going to show you using the very tiny circulars. And what I have here is, this is one of the ChiaoGoo kits. And this kit comes with 3-inch needles and 2-inch needles. And you can see I've got some out because they're in use right now. And it comes with a cable that's a 5-inch and a 6-inch, I believe, with this set. And you can see that it goes from a 0, a 1, a 1.5. Now this is hard to come by, the 1.5, but I like having that, and I use a 1.5. The 2, a 2.5, and then the 3. So if you're going to be doing quite a bit with sock knitting, if you're going to want to get into stranded sock knitting, these really come in handy because when you need to switch out your needles, you just change your tips. So this is what I use. I'm going to kind of show you how I set them up. Another option you have is to buy just, if you use one size for almost everything, you can buy just the one little mini set. And again, it comes with two 2-inch needles, two 3-inch needles. I've taken the cables out, but they have the tiny little mini cables and also 2 of your locking pins or locking keys. And the nice thing with the little minis is they're set up that they have a hole on both the needle and on the connector side so that you can get a nice tight seal on those and they don't come loose on you. So I'm going to first show you how to kind of set them up. And on the back side, it tells you the different lengths. You can make as small as a 9 by using the 2 2s, which give you 4 inches, and the 5-inch cable for a total of 9. Now, what I have found I like to do, because I like to work 2 socks at a time, I will set up using 1 of the 3, 1 of the 2, and the 5-inch cord. So I have a total of 10 inches. And for me, I find there's a big difference in working a 10-inch than a 9-inch in terms of comfort and working with it. So what I need is my needle, my little connector. I screw on the end, look for your little holes, and they come with 2 little locking pins because of 2 holes. So 1 into each, and then you simply tighten those up. And you don't want to strip them, but they will get nice and snug for you. And then we'll have the second one here coming up. So this is how I create a 10-inch, and I use the 10-inch a lot. It's something I really like, and I especially like it when I do stranded knitting. So here you go. You have a short needle on one end, a long needle on the other. You can experiment and see which one you like in kind of your stable hand and which one you like in your working hand. For me, I like to use the longer one in my working hand. It gives me a little more, because you're not doing as much with your stable hand. So, but that's something you'll want to do to play with until you find what you like working with. So that's the way you use your small little circulars.
Okay. Shall we watch them all, Kay, and then answer questions?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's see.
Stranded knitting is something that can be really fun to do in your socks. And I have found that for me to do stranded sock knitting, I like working with my little in the round needles. So what I have here is 10 inches of needles. You're going to see something unusual here in the fact that I'm a lefty. And back when I learned to knit, no one said it's better to be right-handed and learn right-handed. So I learned left. So that means you're going to see it, in a sense, mirror image to you or backwards to you. So do not panic if your knitting looks different. It's really my knitting that probably looks different in that sense. But I really like doing stranded knitting using the little circulars because you're never having to stop. You don't get the legs in your patterning. So I have my beginning of round. You can see I've been working on a pattern so far. And you'll see what we have here coming along. You're working 2 colors. So you have a dominant and a non-dominant color. What I do is my color that I want to be my dominant color, I always have coming up from the bottom up to my work. The color that is my non-dominant, I carry in my hand, on my other hand, and I'm one that does my stranded continental with one hand and throw with the other. So I'm controlling the yarn in both hands. Now that's one way to do it. Some people choose to throw both, or Angie has a method where she does them both continental in one hand. They all are ones that will work. You just need to see what works best for you to maintain your correct gauge. So just to see it in action, I'm doing a 3-1 pattern. So my green is my non-dominant. So it's on my throw hand. And for you, that would be on your right hand when I'm on my left. So I'm going to throw throw, continental. You never have to worry about your color dominance when you have them in each hand. And you always just say, okay, whenever I sit down to knit, my color that I want to keep dominant is going to stay in my continental finger, which is for me, my right hand. For you, it would be your left. So you're seeing just how smoothly this goes along. You notice I'm not doing a lot of stopping. I'm pushing a little bit as I need more stitches up my needle. And I'm simply going circular around. I have my beginning of round mark to show when I need to change to my next row of my pattern. And it's really as simple as that.
Changing the needle.
Oh, yeah. One thing here when you're doing stranded, you typically will change needle from your ribbing, or if you're doing stockinette or your heels and toes, you will change at one point to make your stranded knitting. Some people tend to do their stranded knitting tighter. So they need to go up either a needle size, full size or half size. Now, for me, myself, what I found works best is I start with a 1. So I used a size 1 here when I did my cuff. I got to my Fair Isle here and I chose to do a 1.5. So I didn't have to get out another set of needles. I simply start with my working needle. You would take that, unlock that one, put on your 1.5. Knit around, and when you get back around again, then switch out your non-working needle. Do not switch both at one time. I tell you this from experience, because if you put a bigger size needle on here, the stitches were made with a smaller needle. So you're going to be trying to squeeze and push those stitches on. Don't do that. Only change to start your working needle. For you, it'd be your right hand needle. Okay, so think your right hand, your working needle. You would switch it first. When you get to the end of the row, then you would switch the other. Now, when you're done stranding and you want to, if your heel you want back in the smaller size, when you get to the heel, switch it out. Switch again when you get back to Fair Isle. And the nice thing with these, you're only switching your tips.
Okay, very good. Now, one thing I will say, because we work at No Shame Knitting at Knit Paper Scissors. So when Kay was talking about being a left-handed knitter, the reason that we often will teach people that are left-handed how to maybe continental is for what reason, Kay? The patterns, right?
The patterns, totally. If you're a left-handed knitter, the patterns are written by right-handed knitters. It's a right-handed world. And I have to rethink when I'm doing decreases, increases, because if they say do a make one left, I have to do a make one right. And, you know, type of decrease, if it says to do an SSK, for me, I have to do the first one as a knit two together. So you're having to constantly not only knit, but think through converting the pattern. So anybody that's a new learner, that's a left-handed person, I say just learn it right-handed. It will be so much easier for you in the long run, especially when you get into lace patterns and different cables. And even when you're thinking about making cardigans, because on a cardigan, you have a left side and a right side. Well, I have to stop when they say you're making your left side, for me, that's the right side and vice versa. So you have to watch with buttonholes and everything. You kind of learn that by accident because nobody ever even told me that would happen. It's kind of like one of those things as you're working with it and seeing it, you go, oh, something doesn't seem the same or seem right. Well, it's just because on a pattern, if it's the left side of a cardigan, in reality, you're doing the right side if you're a lefty. So definitely, you use both hands knitting anyhow, so learn that right away.
Fun fact for you. I always find that interesting. And if you see Kay knit some of our shawls, hers will be in a different direction than other ones. And actually, if you come look at her stitches, they look like a knit stitch, but they are slanting or they look different, right, Kay? I don't quite know.
Probably just like a left-hander's writing looks different than a right-hander's
Yeah,
writing.
yeah. So just a good fun fact for you tonight. Okay. Let's go. Our last one.
I'm going to show you here how working with the small little circulars, one can use it all the way through your sock to do your heel, and what I tend to do with the toe. So this sock I have worked with the 9-inch circular, and I did a size 1 through here for my cuff. I moved to a 1.5 to do my stranded knitting. And then I did a little patterning and it came time for my heel. Now you have options when you come to your heel. You can stick with your 9-inch and do your heel by working back and forth on half of your stitches. And you're doing a knit across, doing your twin stitch, purling back, doing your twin stitch. And from this heel, what I did was not the fish lips, that used to be my all-time favorite. It's now the shadow wrap, where you have, in a sense, a triple stitch. So that can be done with your 9-inch small circular, just doing back and forth, like flat knitting. You could also choose, if you want to put them on, if you're more comfortable, onto a magic loop and do your heel as magic loop. Or if you want, you could even do 2 straight needles because you are really working in the flat. So those are options you have with the heel. I find when I'm at the heel, I can just do the heel on the 9-inch and keep moving. So when I got done with this, I switched back to my size 1, which is my preferred needle size for my tension. I did that. And then when I got down to time to do my toe, I find it's cumbersome doing a toe on the 9-inch because you just have so little to work with to make any looping for that. So when I get down to the toe, I begin with magic loop. Now you could easily do your toe using 2 straights if you have little double point needles. You could do that as well. But I will do mine on the magic loop until I get down, and then I've done it down to my 10 stitches, which is what I need for this sock. And then I'm all ready to do the Kitchener of the toe. So happy knitting. I hope you'll give some of these ideas a try. You may find something you really like, or you may find that the little circulars just aren't for you, and that's okay too, because we all find what we like to do.
Okay. Fabulous. So we do have one question. We'll open it up. Sue wants to know, when starting your sock on the small circulars, I have a problem with starting after the cast on when actually putting it into the round and starting the actual knitting.
Okay, when I get them all on my needle, let me grab one little one out here. I must have walked away with it. There it is. When I get them all onto my needle, I will spread the stitches out all the way around it. And the way that I find with the circulars works easiest for me to do the connecting is I will cast on 1 extra stitch. I will bring my very first stitch over to the opposite needle, and I'll hold that in place with a fingernail. And then that last extra stitch that I created, I will take it and drop it over that stitch. So I'm not going to be knitting that extra one, but I'm using it kind of as a locking system on that 1 stitch. So I find that is the easiest way for me to do it. And then if I tighten up those 2 tails, and I do German twisted cast on is the style of cast on I use with my socks. So I have two tails there basically, or the working yarn and the tail, and I cinch those up. And that is what I have found works best for me to get knitted into doing it in the round. Now, some people, if they have trouble, they will just maybe do 1 row or 2 rows flat knitting and then connect in the round and use their tail to kind of cinch up those first 2 rows. And it just kind of depends on your dexterity in working with those little bitty needles and such little stitches, if that seems comfortable to you or not.
All right, what questions, other questions, or if you've tried it and you'd like to try it again, or, you know, what would you like to know from Kay? Wave at us if you want to ask a question, so we know. Connie? We always just see your fingers. No, we always just see your fingers. So we think you're asking a question. Okay, anybody else have a question about 9-inch circulars? Linda?
Yes, when you look at a pattern and it's made for doing the magic loop, I assume that we cast on the same number of stitches if we're going to use the shorty needles.
Yes, yes. I do the same number of stitches the patterns have if they're done with 4D double points, if they're done with magic loop. And you know, a stranded knitting, you know, a lot of those are pattern numbers that are divisible by 4 or by 6 for the pattern repeats that you have.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We sell them in a little kit, or one, as Kay showed it, or the kit. We have them that way. So some people, we encourage you to buy one to try.
Mhm.
I know in March, we said we were going to get some ready to check out, and we just didn't get that happen because we sell through them so quickly. So we'll try to get that happening sometime this summer, so that if you wanted to check one out and try it, you could check one out and try it. But anybody knitting their socks on 9 inches?
And truthfully, I found when I first had tried a fixed true 9-inch, and I wasn't nearly as comfortable for me, and I would have given it up had I not tried creating the 10-inch. And to me, it's that 1 inch makes a lot of difference when you're knitting in such a small round like that. Just that much more flexibility that you have by adding into 10 inches versus a 9.
And then people do their sleeves. You know, if you're a sweater knitter, it's a great way to do your sleeves as well, if you can get yourself accustomed to it. Nancy Schmidt, did you have trouble making the transition to those, or what was your experience with that?
No, it was a little bit of a learning curve, just moving the stitches around. You know, I think I was knitting too tight to begin with, but as I moved on and knitted more, it was easier.
Mhm.
So yeah, I liked it.
Good. Sue says, I like that is what I do with all of my socks. It seems to give me a straighter cast on edge. Are you talking about knitting a row first, Sue? I like that is what I do with my socks. So you can answer that, Sue.
No, when she was talking about the fact that she casts on an extra stitch and then puts it over the last stitch,
Okay.
the
All right.
first stitch that she knitted, and then it's around. That's what I do with mine, because it seems when you do cast on and you do the normal way people have you join in the round, you end up with that jog.
Mhm.
Where if you take the last stitch you cast it on and slip it over the first stitch you cast on, it seems to even that jog out.
Mhm. Very good. There you go. Okay, thanks. Any other questions on 9-inch circulars? Okay, well, let's talk about what's happening this week if you're going to sprint. If you do a pair, it counts as one sock for your 22 and 22. So know that. We will mark you down for one of your socks. I tell you what, by doing sock camp and sock sprints, I think what you really learn is, one, you really we talked about getting into that heel right away. And if you would sprint this week, or you sprint next week, or you just say, I'm just going to knit another sock this month, it really forces you to prepare. I know that when I get into my sock months, then that's really what I want to do. I want to knit socks. And I just get better and better at it in those months. And that's what kind of this month is about. So if you say that you want to sprint again, you can sprint this week. This week, we're giving away the pattern. If this is your second week, if it's your first week, you'll get a baby bee. So we will have your name down. And when you come in, or if you order, just tell us what baby bee you want. That's what you get for your first week. So let's say this is your first week, then you sprint, you'll get a baby bee. If it's your second week and you sprint, you get the corset pattern. And if you do it all 3 weeks, then we have our little bag that you'll get a $5 coupon off of the little Manger bags that are called Nitty Gritty. We kind of call them our sock bags, and we really like these bags. But we're going to sweeten the pot a little bit so that you will post on Ravelry. If I give a drawing, then you go post. If I don't do a drawing, you don't post. So all week we kept looking and checking, and there wasn't much there. So we're going to give a little drawing this week, and we're going to draw for a 32-inch needle, a 32 fixed inch needle of your sock size. So if you win, so if you go post, okay, so for every post we put your name in, and then we'll draw next Monday. And then if you're a 0, you'll get a 0. If you're a 1, you get a 1. If you're 1.5, you get a 1.5. 32-inch. So we get a 32-inch into your collection to see how you like it. And also we're going to add a little something extra, and we're going to go and we're going to show you, for those of you that couldn't join us, I love this little video. Stephanie, you don't know that we're going to show this, but we're going to show your dyeing your yarn because it's so fun. I want to show, let's see if I can find it here. I've got it. Oh, I think I have it. Here it is. Okay. So here we are. We were dyeing yarn this weekend.
Medium or dark? Let's do, I don't know. I didn't know to decide that. Medium one. That's good. That's the one I picked. That's perfect. Okay. I'm not good with decisions. That's all right. So if you put it all over this, it's going to be variegated. Okay. If you do like sections like this, we'll start making a striped sock. Okay. Go from 1 inch and then change colors, change colors, and change colors. You'll have a great sock. Then it now it all fits. Okay, perfect. Go for it. That's what I do.
Don't bug us. We're very busy.
Cold.
Oh, there might be a little eyes at the end. Oh. I like that. Looks nice with that.
Here, make sure they get the ends done. Oh, that's cool.
Little different shade.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so I want fuchsia.
Oh.
Yeah, so pretty.
We're gonna use that one up. This is a new and an awe event, isn't it?
That looks like a flower tie. That looks really cool. Oh, you're cream using a little bit manage. Yeah, hey, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I like it.
Yay. I wanted to show that because we had so much fun with that this weekend. We're hoping that we'll be able to do it again. That is a sock blank, and how Jessica will process them, and then it'll come back like fabric. And then you could leave it like that and knit right off of it. Or you could unravel it and knit it, but it's kind of fun to leave it flat and then you knit off of it like it is your yarn ball. So that being said, what we decided to do is we are going to give away a sock blank. So Susan, for those of you that post that are knitting socks, you can't just post for posting. It has to be because you're knitting socks and you're in the sock, posting in the socks. But Susan Feely then dyed one for sock camp. And this is photos of her that she is dyeing for sock camp. I think we've got it. There it is. Isn't it beautiful? So we will be giving, Amy did that one. Look how neat that one is. We will be giving this sock blank away, and how you get in the sock blank is every sock that you complete counts. So if you even just do one, that counts. If you do two, we put in two. If you post, we're just going to leave those names in the drawing, and we'll have those in the drawing. So we'll have one big grand prize on that last Monday night, of June, which is not that far away, 2 weeks from now. The summer solstice yarn is in. So those of you that have ordered it, you can pick it up, or if we're shipping it to you, we'll get it shipped to you. It is packaged and sealed. And then next Monday, we will be opening our summer solstice yarn together. And it is very cool. It is summer, all about summer, but not in an obnoxious, too much color way. I guess is how I would describe it. So, Kay, do you have your cowbell?
I did. Were people going to show us their yarns for this week?
Yep, get your yarn out. I am actually testing a new yarn. So to be determined. So everybody hold your yarn up. Let's see what we're going to be doing for sprinting. Oh, very cool. Linda, very good. Linda's in this week. Okay, Nancy, everybody got theirs up. All right, very good. Sandra's in this week. Brenda's in this week. Okay, ready, set.
Ready?
Oh, Connie is. Yes, okay. Got some new sprinters. It's so much fun. Oh, she did get a bigger cowbell.
I got the bigger side. This is an original Swiss cowbell from Switzerland. So,
okay, ready, set. It still doesn't ring, Kay. We can't hear it.
it is so loud here. I got to put it up.
There we go. There we go. That's part of the fun. Hey, everybody, stay cool. This week, we still have some of that great rainbow yarn available. You can buy online, and let us know if we can help you in any way. On Saturday, we're doing heels and toes. So if you've got a bunch of socks and you want to come in and practice heels and toes, or if you're struggling with a heel or learning this, pop in from 11 to 2 on Saturday, and we'll be available to help you. You could sit there and we'll work on it and help you get that heel and toe done and on track. So thanks for being on. We'll see you next Monday. Yeah.
Angie, I have a question. I would like to do the sock sprint this month or this week, but I won't be where I can get to a computer next Monday night.
Well,
Is
that's
there
all
any
right.
way
You could just show it. You could just show it to us on Monday. Yeah.
Well,
Send
I
us a
won't be
text.
home until Monday night.
Oh, well, that's okay. You can
Can
send
I
it to
send you a
Monday
picture
night.
Monday afternoon?
Sure. Sure.
Okay.
We have people send them in all week long. So you
Okay.
bet, Lois.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.
on Ravelry.
Yeah.
There.
Post them on Ravelry. Yeah.
There you go.
I'll put a picture of the sock blank up on Ravelry and the details about the needle drawing too. Thanks for being on, everybody. Have a great week. Thanks, Kay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.